Welcome to my 3-day inner confidence workshop. Confidence has been something that I've struggled with for years now. And it's something that I felt really held me back. It affected decisions I made, and it really had an impact in all areas of my life. And so, over these next 3 days, I'm going to be sharing with you the areas that I feel are the areas where where the barriers are and they're holding you back. And we're going to dig deep and we're going to get you to think about kind of where you are and how you are feeling in these areas with a view to then you can start to make those changes. In this first video, we're going to be talking about the 4 areas that I believe are fundamentally responsible for preventing people from achieving everything that they want to do. 4 areas, though, where with work can really unlock the door to your potential, leading you to the life of the love, the health, the wealth, and the relationships that you dream of. I'm really excited for this. Let's get started. A1 is all about the 4 pillars to creating the self. These 4 pillars are self-belief, self-esteem, self-image, and self-confidence. You see, it all starts with you. But what is self-belief? We'll have heard this phrase all the time, but what is self-belief? Well, the definition is confidence in your own abilities and judgment. But why is self-belief so important? Well, it affects everything. It will affect decisions that you make. Because if you don't believe that you'll be able to do something, you might decide not to even try then. So, there may be a job that you'd really love, but if you don't believe that you'll get the job, you might not apply for the job. And so it really can affect those choices, those lifestyle, professional, relationship choices that we make. And so, if you don't believe that somebody would want to date you, you might not go, put yourself out there and go on dates. So it really can affect all areas of your life. And so a question for you. So just note this down on on a piece of paper with a pen. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your self-belief right now? And just be honest. Because what we're doing here is just highlighting where you are, because this is your starting point. Because these you'll see then, as you move through today's session, where you need to maybe do the work, what needs to be focused on. And it might make you realize then if you're feeling like you're not reaching your full potential or you feel like you're being held back, today's session might be the session where you just think, and I know why. It's because I lack in this area. And so just be honest with yourself. How would you rate your self-belief? So 10 being you completely, utterly, totally believe in yourself, and 1 being you don't really. Where are you? So then self-esteem. What self-esteem? We hear this all the time as well, don't we? Well, self-esteem is the opinion that we have of ourselves. So the difference between healthy and unhealthy self-esteem, somebody with healthy self-esteem, really, they like themselves and they value their achievements and they just feel worthy. The opposite can be said for those with unhealthy. They're unhappy and they're unsatisfied with themselves. And so again, you can see how, if you have low self-esteem, again, how that could hold you back, because you just feel unhappy with yourself. You don't feel good about yourself. So, in a world where we sometimes have to put ourselves forward, if you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to tend to kind of hold yourself back a little bit. So again, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your self-esteem? And again, be honest, 10 being the highest, 10 being completely perfectly, you're up there, and 1 being you really don't have much self-esteem at all. So the third pillar is where we talk about self-image. And again, what's that? So the definition of self-image is a person's perception of themselves, including physical appearance, personality, and characteristics. So it's how we see ourselves in all of those areas. So what is the impact on self-perception and confidence? Well, it impacts your decision-making process. It impacts relationships, emotional health, and your overall well-being. It influences your motivation as well. Again, if you perceive yourself in a negative way, well, it's not going to make you feel great. You're not going to feel like getting out there and doing stuff and being dynamic, because you've got a really poor view about yourself. And so it will hold you back. And so it has a huge impact on those areas. And so again, the same question. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself with your self-image? Again, 10 being the highest. Where are you with that? Have you got quite a good self-image, or perhaps have you not? The fourth pillar is all about self-confidence. And again, the definition of that is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. It's that feeling of, I'm doing this, and you know what? I feel good doing it. It feels great. I feel okay. I'm happy, and I'm doing it. And I know I'm going to do a great job, and I'm doing okay. It's that. So what is the significance of self-confidence on personal and professional success? Remember, we're talking about confidence in all areas. If you're lacking in any of these pillars, it will hold you back in all areas in your life. This isn't just about business or work. This will affect your personal life as well. And so if you have positive self-confidence, it just gives you energy to achieve your personal and professional goals and dreams. I mean, back in the day when my self-confidence was low, I couldn't imagine achieving anything. But now, because it's something I've really worked hard on, I'm a completely different person. And now I'm like, do you know what? Yes. And I'm taking opportunities. I'm doing things that I never thought in a million years that I would do. But because I'm feeling more confident in myself, and that's the difference. When I didn't feel confident, I held back, closed in. And it allows you to take risks. We need to take risks all the time. And I don't mean dangerous risks necessarily, but even going out on a date, for example, there's a risk that somebody won't like you. Going to an event or meeting people, going to a group, if there's like a hobby group or anything that you're going to, there's a risk that, you won't find people to chat to. There's a risk there. But again, if you're feeling confident, you'll feel okay about at least going and trying to meet new people. If you don't feel confident, you're less likely to do that. And of course, the same applies to work and business. If you're feeling more confident, you're going to be more likely then to apply for promotions or other jobs and things where, again, if you lack self-confidence, you probably won't, because you'll just be thinking, well, why would I? What's the point? I wouldn't get the job anyway. So again, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your self-confidence? Are you super confident? Or are you at the other end where you're not? Or are you just somewhere in the middle? And it's okay. Just be honest, because knowing where you are is a great start, because that's where you can build from. So there's nothing wrong. If these numbers have been low for you, that's okay. Mine were incredibly low, but that's okay, because this 3-day workshop is going to help you identify the areas that you know then that you can work on and help to build up. And you will then see it will really unlock the door for you. And it's really exciting. But remember, because all of these start with you, it's all about the self. It's all about how you feel about yourself and how you're talking to yourself. You've heard the saying, I'm sure, that, if you hear something often enough, you'll start to believe it's true. And we know that that is true if other people are telling you things. But what are you telling yourself? Because if you're saying to yourself, you wouldn't get that job, or people like us don't achieve those things, or who would want to go out with you? Guess what? You're going to believe it. And so with each of these pillars, it's all about how we speak to ourselves, and we have to be mindful of that. Just take a moment to think about the things that you say to yourself, and think about how, if you were to say those things to somebody else, how would they feel? Would they feel motivated and, kind of confident and inspired? And if the answer is, well, no, well, then you can't expect you to feel that way either, then, if that's what you're telling yourself. And like the quote says, you will never speak to anyone more than you speak to yourself in your head. So be kind. And it's true. We speak to us more than we speak to anybody. We've got to be mindful of how we're speaking and the language that we're used. So some things to kind of, I guess, leave you with at the end of today's session. You've identified where you are in relation to these 4 pillars. So how do you want to feel? Do you want to improve your self-belief, your self-esteem, your self-image, your self-confidence? How do you want to feel? So if you're a 3, for example, in any of those, where do you want to be? Do you like to be an 8 or a 9? It doesn't have to be a 10. Even an 8 or a 9 could be perfect for you. How different is that? Just think about things that maybe opportunities or things that you haven't done in the past, because some of these have held you back. How do you want to feel in your life, in your work, in your businesses, in your personal relationships? How do you want to feel, and how different is that? And what do you need to do? What steps do you need to take to get there? So depending on where your answers are, depending on how you're kind of fitting in this, what do you need to do then? Which areas do you need to work on? Because remember, like I said at the start of this, you can achieve higher ratings in all of these areas. I did. They were very low when I did this exercise years ago. And they're quite high now. They don't have to be 10s. But I'm at a point now where I don't feel like I'm being held back. I am prepared to put myself out there because I feel better about myself. because I did what was needed to build on those things. So I hope that today has helped. I hope that you'll take some time now and just have a think about those areas then, and just, is it confidence? Is it image? How do you perceive yourself? How do you talk to yourself? And start to make those changes. These changes won't make a difference overnight. It's not like a magic wand, all of a sudden feel amazing. However, practicing to change this inner narrative every day, I promise you, it will make a difference over time. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on day 2 of this inner confidence challenge. I'll speak to you in the next session.